Another pay-per-view is in the books, which means we have so much to talk about. Hey everyone, Caroline Shved here with you alongside the regular crew, Jimmy Corderas and Anthony Corelli. Guys, how are you doing?
Doing great, especially since you're representing the stripes very well.
I know, I'm trying to be like Jimmy Corderas. What can I say, guys? Maybe one day I'll be a referee. But speaking of Extreme Rules, after every pay-per-view, we do wins and fails, which everyone at home loves. So Jimmy, take us away with your win.
My win from this pay-per-view, Dolph Ziggler alluded to it on Monday night. The Intercontinental Championship main evented a WWE pay-per-view for the first time in 17 years. I thought it was longer than that, but hey, you know what? I'm not always right, just usually right. But anyways, yeah, I think it bodes well for the Intercontinental Championship. It elevates the title so much, especially with the athletes involved, Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins, who put on a magnificent performance. And not only that, it doesn't diminish the WWE Championship because it was on earlier in the show, because AJ Styles has elevated that title as well. But this is just another notch to elevate that Intercontinental Championship, and I think it was well done.
Yeah, also I think it's really interesting and attractive, the two guys that are competing, similar in stature, both big egos and attitudes, and they're going to bring the best out of one another, from one another. Also, the match they chose, a semi-Iron Man match.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to have an Iron Man match not be the last match.
Right.
That being said, though, a lot of falls, high-scoring match for a half-hour Iron Man match.
Now, talk to me, guys, because the WWE Universe doesn't like always seeing Roman Reigns main event a pay-per-view. So finally, the WWE didn't put Roman in that position, but they still didn't respond in a positive manner. Talk to me about that.
Oh, I could go on all day about that, but I will try to be as brief as possible. This generation of wrestling fans has turned into, at least a portion of them. I don't want to group them all in the same bunch, but to me, they're like the petulant little children. They're doing it to get themselves over. They're not even reacting to what's going on in the ring. They already have predetermined what they're going to do. They have their little predetermined chants. It's like they have a little book. Okay, guys, let's get ready. Chant number 38 for this one. It's getting ridiculous, and it's taking away from the performance from these guys. For me, I find it very disrespectful.
I mean, you even see Seth Rollins after the match. He was so upset that he tweeted 10, 9, 8, 7, like all the way down to 1, because he was genuinely upset, because as a superstar, when you're in the ring and you're going for that length of time, it's got to be frustrating when you feel like the universe isn't appreciating what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And also what it does is, if you're not able to captivate them and make them, you know, sitting at the edge of their seats, it makes you feel like you're not mastering your craft the way you should. Yeah, the audience is going to do that, but if you really, really are good at what you're doing, you should be able to distract them and bring them into what your world consists of.
And to that point, the Roman Reigns-Bobby Lashley match from the pay-per-view, the crowd tried at the beginning to hijack the match, because they had predetermined that they were not going to enjoy this, but by the end of the match, they had the crowd.
They got him, yeah.
Well, hopefully the universe can live and learn from that mistake, because it was tough to watch and hear. Anthony, your win has to do with AJ Styles and Rusev.
Yeah, awesome match. I mean, if you're out there and you're studying and you're training and you want to be a professional wrestler, you got to be able to watch AJ Styles and learn so much from him. One thing he does, and traditionally when you're learning how to wrestle, it's the bad guy that will take advantage of an opportunity, isolate a body part, and attack and work that body part until he renders it useless, and therefore, you know, wins the match. But here, it's just sound tactics, and he kept working that leg, and I'm glad we're having this clip right here, because he kept just working on it and telling a story, and I thought it was so good. And in this case here, you know, they're kind of, he's been a bad guy, Rusev is a bad guy, but he's kind of a good guy. Anyway, those tactics don't have to be bad guy tactics anymore. They can be good guy tactics. It's just common sense. Take a body part, isolate it, focus on it, and it's so easy to digest storytelling-wise when you're both working on body parts. I loved it, yeah.
And like you said, I love the storytelling aspect of this match, and it told a nice story. Ring psychology, which is kind of lost with a lot of the younger talent nowadays, not in the WWE, because they tend to do moves because they can.
Right.
They don't know when to fit them in to make sense in what the story they're trying to tell. And to AJ Styles, still think he's the best on the planet because he is able to adapt to anybody of any size, any skill level, any style.
Right.
Most people will be guilty of this until they're taught otherwise. When I had my first, let's say, 5 or 6 matches, and someone said, you know, there was moves I tried to force into a match. I said, I've always wanted to do this particular suplex. I've always wanted to do this particular clothesline or whatever it is. And I tried forcing them into matches as opposed to needing them or using them at the right time. So that's fine. And that's a normal learning curve type thing. But if you are stuck in the indies, you're going to be stuck around people with that mentality. And it's only when you graduate to a higher level of education are you going to be taught that that's not the right thing to do.
You guys touched upon storytelling, which kind of goes into my win a little bit because I love how Braun Strowman and Kevin Owens are so good at playing their roles. Like, we know that Kevin Owens is going to try and run away from Braun, and Braun's going to try and essentially annihilate Kevin Owens. But it was such an entertaining match for me to watch. The best part of it was when Braun chokeslammed Kevin Owens off of the steel cage. But can we talk about how dangerous? Like, Kevin Owens has been taking a beating for the last couple months. So how dangerous is it to put a superstar in that position and chokeslam him off of a steel cage?
It is very dangerous. I know Anthony could explain it, but I just find it interesting that 20 years ago in the same city, Mick Foley took that infamous tumble off the top of the cell through the announce table, and similarly Kevin Owens on Sunday. Quite similarly, it is such a minute error
margin for
error in something like that, especially when you're coming from that height and you're as Anthony always tells you, accelerating at that rate, and it's very, very, very dangerous.
Yeah. So right now, first of all, Kevin Owens is becoming one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And he's actually making being a coach very difficult because I'm always preaching about bodies and training and physiques. And we're like, how about Kevin Owens? Yeah, like, yeah, okay. But he's an anomaly. Now, he's been wrestling steady for a long time. His body is currently battle hardened. He's going to be able to withstand a lot of blows that normal people can't withstand. That being said, it's still very dangerous. And like he said, if you rotate a little too much, you're separating your shoulder. If you rotate too much just on the back of your head, you can injure your neck. You have to land perfect. And even if you land perfect, the impact is so great, things can happen that we're not even taking into account. First thing we check is our skeletal system. If that's intact, we're good. Then we gotta check muscles, and then we gotta check organs. Yeah. I mean, there's things happening when your body comes.
I feel like sometimes they're flirting with a very fine line, and hopefully the superstars are careful, and whatever they do next, it doesn't hurt their career or, more importantly,
they're always trying to outdo themselves and others, and they're just constantly escalating and escalating and escalating.
All right, guys, quickly through our fails. I want to start with mine, and all I'm gonna say is I don't want to see or hear Carmella screech in a ring ever again, or I will personally delete her myself. And I'm just very disappointed in the women's division right now for the championships. I thought Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss's match was dull. I honestly thought it was horrible. And then again, Carmella and Asuka. If I'm Asuka, I'm so upset being put in this position right now because not only is she an excellent wrestler, she's losing her winning streak to Carmella. So I don't appreciate that.
It ties into my fail, which is with Carmella winning at the pay-per-view, that means we get more James Ellsworth, and I don't think he helps her or helps himself. Comedy is good when done right, as Anthony would tell you. It's not being done right with James Ellsworth. That's mine.
Yeah.
Anthony, your fail.
My fail was, quickly here, Bludgeon Brothers. The two giant Bludgeon Brother monsters couldn't beat up Daniel Bryan. They did it eventually, but they had such a hard time. It really took away from them. Then here comes Kane to save the day, but he doesn't save the day, and the Bludgeon Brothers eventually win. So it didn't really do anybody any good in that particular match. I mean, I kind of knew Kane would run in and try and help, but they had more success when Kane came than when it was just them against Daniel Bryan. So it was very confusing. Every match has a story, and this story was a mystery.
I feel like we could talk about our wins and fails all day, but we have to go over to something else. What do you guys think about Hulk Hogan being reinstated into the WWE Hall of Fame? Is that a win or a fail?
To be determined in my book.
I like that answer.
I want everybody to have a second chance, and obviously Hulk Hogan deserves that opportunity as well. I want to see how he conducts himself going forward.
Anthony?
He's the greatest superstar of all time. He should definitely be in the Hall of Fame, and I'm very glad that he's back.
I'm going to say everything that Jimmy just said. I retweet Jimmy Corderas. All right, we could talk about this so much more, but right now we got to go to break. When we're back, we talk about Brock Lesnar.
Brother.
You want more of the beast. You want more of the conqueror. If it was up to you, the WWE Network would be all Brock Lesnar all the time. Which is why I congratulate you for making your voices heard by this highly intelligent general manager who forced our hands. So now it is official. My client, Brock Lesnar, will defend the Universal title at SummerSlam, and the only thing left for you to decide, Kurt Angle, is who at SummerSlam will be beaten, victimized, and conquered.
Kurt Angle wanted more Brock Lesnar, and he's getting more Brock. What do you guys think about, the Beast Incarnate defending his Universal title at SummerSlam?
It's about time, but can I just mention for a second Paul Heyman and the Puppet Master?
Awesome.
Oh my goodness.
He's so good, isn't he? He's so good, I agree.
It's incredible. But
it's captivating.
Yes, he is. And he got the desired, he's such an antagonist. I love that he got the crowd to boo Brock Lesnar because they want to cheer him, but then they don't want to cheer him because he's not there. So desired effect accomplished. I can't wait for the match at SummerSlam. It's about time because we need more of the Universal Champion on TV. We've been saying for a while. As much as I liked originally the idea of having him on sporadically, this is too much now.
Yeah, I love the way he gives Kurt that compliment. And it's so funny is it works.
Highly intelligent.
You can give some, you see right away, he's like, oh, okay, all right. And it's when you're actually negotiating, it's an excellent tactic to kind of get, someone to reciprocate. The date is set. SummerSlam is an excellent choice. It's the halfway mark between WrestleMania, so it's the middle of the season. If we had a season that started at WrestleMania and ended at WrestleMania, who's it going to be? There's some obviously big dog egos going around here.
Yep.
Roman has yet to beat Brock. Bobby Lashley comes in. He's been calling out Brock since before he came back. The whole MMA thing. I don't know if Bobby's has he been defeated in MMA? I don't know. I don't think so. He was a high-level wrestler, just like Brock. Just two alpha males. Let's just see who's tougher. But he's just got back. Has he earned it yet? I mean, he just beat Roman, so arguably yes. I think there's some unfinished business with Roman and Brock. It's going to be exciting either way.
Can Brock defend it at SummerSlam, or do we think that, because they're saying reportedly this might be his last match on this contract in WWE before he goes on over to the other side?
Oh, maybe he does retain the title. Anything is possible, especially after what we've seen in the last couple of months with Brock Lesnar. You never know. And Brock Lesnar is basically writing his own ticket right now. So as far as who he faces, I like the Bobby Lashley-Brock intriguing matchup there. What I don't like about it is I've heard from a lot of fans saying, oh, it'd be interesting to see this MMA style matchup.
And you don't like that?
I don't like that. If I want to watch an MMA match, I will tune into the UFC or whatever, or whoever, Bellator, and watch an MMA match. I'm not going to tune into a pro wrestling show to watch an MMA match.
Well, it wouldn't be MMA. It would be worked MMA. And that's we want to see how well they can work it. That's the whole idea.
But that doesn't appeal to me personally.
I think the only way it would appeal to me is that it's something different, and I feel like we see a lot lately in WWE of the same style matches and the same superstars going at it. I think it would be more interesting for me personally to see Bobby Lashley go against a Brock Lesnar than, again, Roman Reigns going against Brock Lesnar.
I think it'd be cool if that in the UFC, if you can beat someone up to the point where you can pin them for 3 seconds, That'd be pretty cool. So originally, professional wrestling was MMA. It was. We just have another layer of how to win. You can pin someone as well as beat them down, make them submit, etc. So the origins are more closely related than we give it credit for. It was.
What would be the most exciting thing of a Brock Lesnar Bobby Lashley matchup for you, Anthony?
For me, it would be the perception that things are going off script or out of control, and that these guys are getting into it for real. Lots of finger quotes today, but you know what I mean? If people, and that's, to me, that's the ultimate desired effect. If you could make anybody, this is the way I was taught from Rip Rogers, if you can watch a wrestling show and say, oh, I know they want you to suspend your disbelief, it's sports entertainment, and you say, but match number 4, I'm pretty sure that one was real. Awesome, you're the best. You're the best in the world because you made them suspend their disbelief not only during the match, outside of the match, and after the match. They were like, they're going to be talking about it on the way home, saying, I don't care what you say, match number 4 was a real fight. Those guys really didn't like each other. Awesome, that's what you, that's
If you can get them to question, even just question a little bit, you've accomplished your goal.
Quickly, would we be disappointed as the universe if it was another Brock Lesnar-Roman Reigns matchup?
I wouldn't be, because it'll be a good match. I know it will be a good match, but, you know, in Brooklyn, here we go again, hijack the show.
Brooklyn. Also, I think that Roman is getting very desperate and frustrated, and a desperate man is capable of some incredible things.
Oh, okay, profound, so profound. All right, guys, time for break, but when we're back, another 3 count. Guess with who? She's the Raw Women's Champion once again, so here's our 3 count with Alexa Bliss. All right, I'm here with Alexa Bliss, and although she's accomplished so much in the ring, I have a very big question for her outside of the ring. And Alexa, we share a very big obsession and passion for animals.
Oh, I love animals.
I know. And I'm so excited because you have a adopted deaf pig named Larry Steve, which I love. 2 first names is everything. I totally
Well, he's Southern, so he needs 2 first names, like Ricky Bobby, you know?
Tell me everything about him, please.
He is very Hollywood. He knows that he is the diva of the household. He's very lovable. He loves to cuddle. He is very stubborn. So his day consists, he's on a schedule. He wakes up every morning at 5 a.m. and he will stand by the refrigerator until it magically opens and feeds him breakfast. And then he will search the entire kitchen for the rest of the day for more food. And then he'll nap, and then he'll wake up and do it again. Like, that's just...
So he's living his best life.
Yes, he is living his best life. He loves food. Like,
I mean, I don't blame him.
Right, well, he's learned to open up the pantry, so now we have to, like, baby-proof the house because he's learned to open these things up and grab food. And last week he got to play in the dirt for the first time, which he was in heaven. And he loves to run around the house, and he plays like a dog because he's surrounded by dogs, because I have 3 dogs. And so he's just...
He's a part of the family.
He's the best. I love him.
Now,
he's so cute.
how do you, who takes care of him when you're traveling? Because you do travel a lot.
My mom and my fiance. So my mom lives about 5 houses down. So she's always over at my house. Always.
The best.
Yeah, and so she has a soft spot for Larry Steve. You know what I mean? She loves him. She teaches him little piggy sign language and stuff, and he's the best. He's finally learned to sit down all the way. Like, when you tell him to sit, he used to just, like, put his leg out, and, like, that was his sit. You know what I mean? It's because he knew he'd get a treat. So he used to, like, put his leg out, but now he literally just, like, flops onto his big butt and just, like, he's the best.
When is Larry Steve making his debut on WWE?
When he can fly. He's not allowed to fly on airplanes
Oh.
unless I get him registered, because if not, he's considered livestock. So when I got Larry Steve, he was like 3 pounds, right? Real tiny little thing. No airline would accept him because he's considered livestock. So my grandparents, who are saints, had to drive from Columbus to Nashville to pick him up and drove him to Orlando within like an hour's notice. I was like, oh my gosh, hey, I need someone to pick up the pig. And so they drove and just picked him up and drove him home.
Yeah, well, he needs to be allowed on an airplane because I want to see this happen one day. Hog pen match featuring Alexa Bliss and Larry Steve.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right? Can we like make that happen? Okay, if you don't already follow Alexa Bliss on Instagram, do that, and also follow Larry Steve because it will be the best follow that you honestly make in your lifetime on Instagram.
But he is very picky about the pictures I post of him.
Okay, well, yeah, because he's a diva.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Hollywood. Larry Steve. Can we please talk about how amazing Alexa Bliss's pig is? Anthony!
Alexa Pig. You said
Don't quote me. I didn't say it.
And
also, how awesome Alexa Bliss is to see her in that light. And, you know, we see her like in the WWE as this mean person, but she's just so full of light and laughter, and she's such a joy to talk to.
I'm just impressed with having a pet pig. I mean, like that still blows my mind away. You know,
pet pig.
And how do you? Hey, Mom, can you watch my pet pig? I mean, I could just imagine my mom.
Listen, one day if my future kid asks me if I could watch their deaf pet pig, it will be the best day of my life, and I will gladly do so.
A pet pig for my dad to watch, I'd be picking up sausages. And yeah, no, you know what?
Hanging in the canteen.
Oh my God, I don't. Earmuffs.
Most of the bad guys are pretty. They have good senses of humor because they, you know, when you're a bad guy, I mean, everyone wants to be cheered. Everyone wants to be cheered. So to have that, the understanding, yeah, you definitely don't want to be cheered on Twitter, but to have the understanding that it's kind of more fun to be a bad guy and get those boos, and the boos are equivalent to cheers in the converse manner type thing. Anyway, traditionally, I think when people meet bad guys in real life, I think they're always pleasantly surprised that
it was
they have,
nice.
Yeah.
All right, another positive part of the show, Ask Aftermath, where we get to talk to you lovely fans.
Yeah,
okay, first
let's get
question.
to the first one.
Will we see any female refs in WWE?
Well, we already have one in NXT
There you go.
and Jessica Carr, but I think we will see her eventually on the main roster. It's about time. It's due.
Right.
It's due.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, well, why don't we? It doesn't make any sense.
Right, I feel like WWE's headed in that direction now, where so much female empowerment that I feel like it's only about time that we do see.
In most Olympic combative sports around the world, they're all judo, wrestling, boxing. There's female referees everywhere.
And we've referenced MMA a lot today. There's female referees in MMA.
Question for you guys: if there were ever to be an NXT Canada, would Landstorm be the GM/trainer? Anthony, you take this away because the look on your face.
So there is a network in the Greater Toronto area in place currently that is developing. They're not formal. It's not formally NXT Canada. That's the objective for a lot of people here to become NXT Canada. Now, Landstorm lives in Calgary, and I've been told he doesn't want to relocate to Toronto. If he was willing to relocate to Toronto, he would definitely be in the mix. But there are some other high-level coaches and just fountains of knowledge in Toronto that would definitely be involved. So would he be involved? Yes. Would he be the head trainer? Unless he moved to Toronto, no.
Okay.
And of course, Toronto being the 4th largest market in North America would be a perfect location.
There you go. All right, everyone, keep asking us your questions using the hashtag AskAftermath. As always, it's been a pleasure to talk about Extreme Rules. We'll see you guys next week, and enjoy SmackDown Live.